In just a few minutes, we'll have our CEO, Jesper, Zerlang, to give the welcome. But just before that, I thought I would take us through the agenda, just quickly. And then a little before that, I think we might turn the volume a little down. I can speak louder, so you can just turn it. I'll go all the way up here. Can you guys hear me down there? Bornholm and KMD, and where are you? Good, okay, thanks. So, we are here to see where the cyberspace is heading. We are here to see what we can do about it. And I was thinking when we say we, is it just you and me? Or is it also the real top management, the C-level? And when I started in this business a few years back, working with Logpoint, we would actually ask them, the top management, so what is important to you? And first we'll actually start asking them directly, when it comes to cyber security, how important is that on a scale from 1 to 10? And they say 15. Okay. So what is then the most important thing for you guys? And I was looking at one and he said, okay, I was looking at another one, and I will look at the third one over here. And they were like, and of course we knew what this was about. What they are measured on, revenue, regulation, reputation. So then, of course, it's like that. And we were then thinking, that's top 3, and back a few years, like 6, 7 years, cybersecurity and the importance of that, of top management, C-level, like almost 15. So it was not on the short list. So we were thinking, how can we communicate this? How can we articulate the value that we create? Because if you look at revenue, don't cybersecurity influence that? And the same for when you go for regulation and reputation. So all this goes together. You had WannaCry and many other things came up. Today it's different for sure, especially when we have help from the grand old man who would then reveal things like cybersecurity is the #1 problem with mankind. So that's a help. And you can start seeing the news and the headlines. They're coming in. Now, today is different from just 1 year ago. When you look at it, weapons. I mean, if you think about this like 1 year back, many of us wouldn't have thought really. But later on today, we'll have people talking about this. So this was a short little scene setter on how we put together the commercial point of this and all the technology working together. You have a chance to be simply just sitting there, observing, taking in messages, and then whenever you're into a break or breakouts later on, you will be highly interactive. So that's kind of the balance, and you can choose between that. So revenue, regulation, reputation, can we lower the importance of that? Of course not, and we shouldn't. Could we say cybersecurity is #1? Of course not, we shouldn't. But maybe we should just look at the correlation, the cause effect. If you are a public administration, definitely the cohesion between this. We'll talk much more about that. The agenda. You got it right here in front of you, so you can just carry this with you. I think, other than the fantastic keynote speakers that we have coming in, there will be breaks too. And we will aim at 20, 30 minutes breaks. And for those, again, I will highlight a few things that you can do in the foyer out here, but I'll come back to that. I'll just spoon feed you on how you can make the best of your time. Afternoons, free choice for you, so you can choose the track you want. I spoke to KMD just before, and they said, can you guide us to the best room? Well, it's difficult for me to know which one would be the best, but it's up to you, so it's a free choice. You can have a talk with Logpointers in the break to figure out what's best for you. Okay, I'm just trying to, again, hardcore motivate you here early morning. Pre-dinner cocktails, it's a little early in the day to talk about that, but all this will happen upstairs in the Everest ballroom, and there will be a very nice dinner and great entertainment. Tomorrow, we'll meet back in here, 9 o'clock, and we will just ease our way into the first part of the presentation. And again, with the breaks that you will need to mingle and talk to whoever you need to talk to. And we echo the separate tracks for the afternoon. This brings me, that's a dangerous one over here, just that you know, stay away from this one. I would like to welcome our very own CEO, Jesper Zerlang. Please give Jesper a big hand.
Thank you, Kim. So a warm welcome. It has been, like I've spoken to a couple of you guys, a super strange thing that it's been 4 years since we had our last ThinkIn face-to-face conference. It's really good for me to see that we have the same customers and partners are here. Thank you for sticking with us, and a good inspiration for the newer partners and customers to actually see that it is worthwhile sticking with Logpoint. I think also we're going to stream most of this, so if some of the sessions are not, you don't have a chance to see all of it, you can also cherry pick later online. Very proud to be here. Logpoint is in a very nice scene these days. We had a fantastic announcement last Friday that we have a new investor in Logpoint. And what that really means is that because of all the support that we have gotten from you as customers and partners, we are now ready to engage with a new financial partner. And I'll come back a little bit with that later. So, first of all, it's great to be back. It's great to be here and really want to, from the bottom of all Logpointers' hearts, to say thank you. Because it has been a ride. I'm sure we've had some fights, as you do with a good vendor-customer relationship. It doesn't always work, but what's really important is if it doesn't, we do everything we can to mitigate. And I know that many of you actually appreciate this feature of Logpoint. You rule. You're the customer. You decide. We don't do anything unless you want us to provide the software and the solutions we do. Remember that. You are the partner. You decide how should Director work, how should our partner program work, what kind of services do you want to give to your customers, and we will humbly obey what you ask us to a certain limit. But it is really important that we listen and we really learn and then act upon this. So these days, it's very much about you giving us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so we can do something about issues that might not be optimal. Or you could have visions of what you would like to see in the product, because that will protect you as customers, and then we will listen and we will execute. And that's what it's all about. It's feedback. We know Gartner Peer Insight. We have actually been harassing some of you to get reviews on some of these. This time around we have G2 and others, and it actually matters. It matters a lot that customers can give their view, their honest view of Logpoint as a vendor, because then you can be an inspiration to potential new customers. So we're not afraid of feedback. We can do something about it when we get it. And then, of course, here today, we actually also have a lot of potential customers or potential partners. So we hope that you will give them good reasons for connecting with us and actually engaging with Logpoint in the future. And then, of course, I want these 2 days to be an engaging event. So be curious, ask questions, network, and let's get to know each other much better than we already do. So just a one-pager on what is the strategic focus of Logpoint. When you have an engagement with a vendor like Logpoint, I think it's really important that you have a first-class, first-hand impression of what are our plans and what direction are we moving in. And yes, it's very much about a European agenda. Earlier, maybe 2 or 3 years back, it was more of a global approach, which was maybe a little too much of a task for us, somewhat daunting. And we actually also, we went to the US, we established an office in Boston, and we invested quite a lot of money in that market, and have just come to realize that it has been a challenge, very expensive, but also a mature market that have a lot of competition. And then the most important change that has happened in our world is that Europe have changed. Cyber is now on the agenda, as Kim said, at a much higher level. We have the macroeconomic situation, which has, of course, been fueled by the crisis in Ukraine that you will hear both from Victor and others during these 2 days. And all of a sudden realizing that cyber and cybersecurity is not about just protecting your small little company or getting a report for GDPR. It has a much better, much broader perspective, and we want to address this. And guess what? There's not a lot of cybersecurity companies in Europe, and we want to become a major cybersecurity company that can be very important for Europe on a strategic level. So if we go up into the more political part of things, we have received a lot of feedback during the last 12 months that there is a genuine concern that from a cybersecurity perspective, we are very dependent in Europe on only US companies. Where are the European native providers of security? And so we want to tap into this. We want to be at the forefront of this. And this is one of the key reasons that Sumo also invested in Logpoint, is that we want to create this cybersecurity powerhouse in Europe. And it doesn't mean we are not have a global reach, but it's Europe first. And then it's about COVID-19 showed all of us probably more than we had expected, a wake-up call. A lot of companies thought they had a digital strategy. They thought they were on the journey for digitalization, and they realized overnight they were not even close. So our aspiration, again, is to protect the entire digital heart of an organization. And whether this is a company that have a very advanced OT environment, whether they have a lot of remote workers, or whether they're in finance or any other industry, government, the digital agenda is just really changed dramatically. And we need to provide solutions that are relevant for this. A different challenge we have is that, and you all know this, I'm sure, lack of talent. I don't know if the number is 1 million or 2 million or 3 million cyber jobs that are actually available as we speak. But it is a fact that it's difficult to get enough people that are trained on cyber to really tackle the overall society challenge we all have. So how can we help on this? It's all about automation and content. We want to provide an array of automatic technologies, and we want to create content that are relevant out of the box, so you don't have to sit and reinvent the wheel in your organization, but you should benefit from everything we see in the market. And you can expect and hear also in the next couple of days how we're going to address this approach. Then we think, of course, that cybersecurity as a service is going to change dramatically. I think it's going to be almost like a tectonic shift in how you actually invest in cyber technologies. And that's why I really like to see so many partners here, that cybersecurity is, depending on the size of your organization, can easily be from 25 to 100 different technologies that you want to kind of get to work somehow in a cohesive fashion. But it's almost impossible, especially for the small, medium enterprises where we are the strongest, to get this actually to work and be relevant. So what do? Well, you basically buy cyber as a service. And we want to provide technologies for our MSSPs and MDRs out there that are second to none, and we want to own this space. So you can very high hope or expectation on us that we will keep really delivering on this. We will also be providing more services in Logpoint, not directly to our customers, but to help our partners become even better. So already we have playbook design services that we can offer to our partners, so the US MSSP can look much better to your customers, and you expect to see more coming from that area. Then we have our dear European data protection agenda. Everybody loves to hate this topic. And of course, it's a real thing. We have GDPR, we have NIS2, and what is it really? Is it just collecting data, pushing a button and create a report and you have a happy auditor? That's some of it. We can't get away from just giving them good coffee. Now we need to really bring in solutions that are actively giving some value, and especially when you get hit, it is important that you are able to very fast within, whether it's 72 hours or in India, I just heard that it's 6 hours. One morning we woke up and I think our website got totally swamped by an Indian request because they have this new law that, well, we have 72 hours to react. Depending on what industry you are, you have 6 hours to do the same in India. And all of a sudden, there was a little bit of panic in terms of solutions. And then NIS2 is coming, and for cybersecurity, and there will be other people that know more than this that is coming. Morten's coming to talk after me from a political perspective, what this means. But I actually think we should all in this room appreciate that we have these government frameworks. They might be very tedious to have in your face up front, but hopefully it will actually mean that the defense and the risk exposure of companies are being improved. Then on the technology side, we've been on-prem most of our life. And like everybody else, we've been pushed, you need to have a SaaS solution, you need to be SaaS. And yes, we are actually a SaaS-first company as of now. That's where we want to go. The solution is ready. We have great customers on the platform. But we have also decided, especially after the events in Europe the last 12 months, that on-prem is actually having some kind of a revitalization in certain industries. It's not all about cloud. We have the US Cloud Act. We have the challenges with all of that. And so it means that some of our competing vendors from the US that are cloud only are struggling mostly in government installations. And we want to provide both the full SaaS solution that's easy to onboard and so on. We want the on-premise still. And then we have the hybrid where we actually, Logpoint have an on-prem version that we manage 24/7, and you as a customer basically just have the solution at your service. And so it's a perceived same functionality as a SaaS environment, but it's based on servers that are based here in Europe. And then from a strategic perspective, it's also about critical infrastructure. As you will hear, we were very fortunate that Danish Defense bought a relatively large Logpoint solution and donated to Ukraine. So Victor will come after the lunch and talk about how that have impacted his capability in defending against the Russian aggression from a cybersecurity perspective. Very exciting that he is going to talk about this. NIS2, Morten, he will take you through all of this, so I won't do a lot of talk about this because that's his domain. What I would spend is just a little bit about this new investment that Logpoint have achieved, and that was announced on Friday. And it is Summa Equity that have been, it's a Norwegian, Swedish private equity company. And what they really see is it's their first cyber investment, and it's a 4.6 billion euro fund, or they have 4.6 billion under management. And so it's a very strong financial partner for Logpoint. We've had smaller investors in the past, venture funds, and some of them are leaving Logpoint and taking some money, and they are probably happy, I hope. And then we now have a strong partner that's going to be significant in the next 4 to 6 years. We will have one person or one party to talk to, and the strategy is not going to change. So I'm really looking forward to be part of this, that we can start driving what we want with Logpoint with a strong financial partner. They're very ESG driven, so environment, social, and governance driven. The UN have these 17 dedicated topics that they address. And we are very strong, of course, on number 9, which is critical infrastructure and how do you protect the environment from a more societal perspective. But they actually, out of the 17, we probably have some kind of tap into maybe 9 of them. So it's quite impressive, and we really like that Summa has this kind of profile. They're Scandinavian, they understand Europe, even understand maybe the Scandinavian heritage, our values, and it actually matters. Europe, they buy into this. There is a cultural fit, which is also very important. You have probably also been involved in the US, maybe US bigger companies, and maybe they don't have the same view on how to operate. Maybe we have a different approach in Europe and in the Nordics. And we are proud of that, and we want that to be something that is in everything we do the next 4 to 6 years. It also means that we can remain being European. We are the only non-US SIM vendor in the world. We only have US competition, and it matters in many ways, and we are proud that we can continue to have that profile. And then what is it about? Well, it's about 2 things. We can either build or buy. So we will provide, of course, a lot of solutions that's coming in the product, and which Christian and his team is going to be creating. And then there will be technologies just like when we acquired SecBI and the storefront, that it will be much more relevant for us to acquire technologies so we can bring it faster out to the market. And so you'll see organic growth and strategic acquisitions down the road. Probably not any acquisitions this year. I think we have plenty to do to just execute on what we have on our plate today, but it's going to be very, very exciting. So basically, that was my introduction. I really hope that you are going to be inspired by these days. Don't shy away from asking questions, difficult questions, easy questions. And just enjoy. And I think also tonight we're going to have some great entertainment during the dinner. I look forward to that. And so, and of course, to speak to all of you during these 2 days. So thank you very much and have a great time.